Hey there, future me. It's currently a Monday night. It's been a while, over 2 weeks, I guess, since last audio. So I didn't really follow up, I suppose, with things too well. I guess I'm currently procrastinating, I guess, preparing for candidacy, like doing the write up, and not even to mention having to study for the oral bit. I think like that's gonna. We'll worry about the oral bit once the write up is like actually serviceable. Under 3 weeks. So yeah, I guess like while procrastinating candidacy, I decided, well, I guess I might as well not procrastinate audios any further, right? Maybe not the best set of priorities, but here we are regardless. It's been what happened over these past 2 weeks, I suppose, after receiving funny information on Thursday and then recording the audio on Friday. I gave a presentation of sorts on I think the Wednesday after. It was like some kind of like internal department talk of like that was supposed to act as like a practice talk for a candidacy. It was kind of scuffed. I think I had really good slides. I just couldn't deliver it in terms of like words because I didn't rehearse it because I was stitching it together at the last minute and like I rehearsed it a bit with like some friends, but I didn't like rehearse it in like one stretch and like come up with all my excellent, nice deliverable transitions and all that jazz. So that was that was kind of rough, but at least we got slides. I made like a little calendar thing, like on the little chalkboard in my office space. It has like a bunch of boxes, and I've been crossing out boxes. The boxes are supposed to, remind me as to days until candidacy. So I've been, uh, but I guess like we're almost halfway there. Like so this is almost like the halfway point between like when I made the calendar and like when candidacy is, which is always a fun thing to think about. Um, One of my buddies from my hometown, I guess like middle high school, and I guess like undergrad friend, Khan came from out of state for like some conference thing. So like I guess I went with like Moon in Arizona, and we like found him. We played some like board games, and that was pretty cool. So it was nice to see him. Well, what else? And we had like there was we did a free food thing. Yeah, the grad group did a free food thing on like Thursday, so that was kind of fun. We like made some skewers like out of like a variety of veg, or well, I say a variety. It was really just pepper, onion, and like yeah, pepper, onion, and like squash. Like I guess zucchini is like apparently zucchini is not a squash. I don't know. It's green squash if you squint hard enough. So got to make a bunch of skewers and cook those alongside some like normal sausages. So that was pretty neat. Currently, oh, and I went to like some weird. I guess Moon was like performing in some like undergrad like rock event thingamajig on like Friday. So like I showed up and supported her alongside Arizona. So that was pretty cool. Um, I don't know. I got like a what did I do today? I guess I got a free meal swipe. Not feeling too great. I think I picked up a sore throat. Moon wasn't feeling too great during the rock thing, and I think I might have gotten what she had. Not like dying, but it's I can certainly feel it in my throat. Anyhow, like I'm really just talking at this point to like procrastinate or to prolong the I don't want to do candidacy things any further. Do I actually have any thoughts on the matter while preparing for candidacy? Kind of. I mean, it's really the process of constructing the write up is like pretty weird because like for once like it's this is a new experience for me. I feel like back in the undergrad or high school days, right, whenever we had to like do these like papers or research things, we had to, go on like JSTOR or something, fish out a bunch of sources, and then try to like scrape together like a thesis that's definitely not just like, you know, uh, what is it, a bifurcated thesis. That was the whole thing that they were saying, oh, you shouldn't just like say that your thesis is like a bunch of the points that other people made all strung together, but instead should have some synergy, right? Some of the parts is greater, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. But yeah, like it was always just kind of like scraping by and trying to see like what you could extract from each paper. Whereas like now it feels like there's like a bounty of this, right? Like I have the opposite problem of there's simply too much information and like all this background and stuff, which I is probably worth explaining, right? Like I can't just say, yeah, here's jargon, 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 the results from so and so, which obviously states that yes, this just works, right? Like the people, I guess, outside the subfield in the committee are gonna like be like, so take a step back. You claim that you know like what you're talking about because you're citing the sources, but like what do they actually mean? So I suppose I now need to go out and like put it in my own words, which requires a lot of like foreground, like okay, we saw some stuff and then we tried to do some math to like I guess reproduce the stuff that we saw, and then all this stuff happens, but we need to be more particular about why does the math work, why are these approximations like okay, and all this jazz, right? So I find myself currently just stuck on like the introduction section of like the write up, which is only one of the three portions, the other two portions being stuff that I've done so far, which I honestly don't think I've done that much. Like a lot of my like, if I were to look at the year, I think like a lot of it was just kind of spent like figuring out how the code works, instead of actually like running the code into like new things or trying new things. But Prof insists that there's like sufficient things to talk about, I suppose. I hope he's not baiting. I trust him, but I also want to verify, right? But I guess we'll figure that out whenever I guess I meet with him over Zoom tomorrow because he's like out for doing Thanksgiving things. So there's like the stuff that I've done so far, and there's like the stuff that I plan to do, which is like, oh man, we're gonna take the code, we're gonna add all these new things, we're gonna once it works for the things, once it works for once it match. Man, I need to take a step back here. Like it's same idea. Too many thoughts in the mind, and not enough. Too many ideas need to find sufficient, but not overdose of words to explain. Ugh, jeez. I don't know. I guess like the code right now is trying to reproduce analytic results derived earlier, right? So some people who did some theory said that okay, if we assume that the particles move like this, then we should get this output. And so currently we're trying to have the particles move like this in the code, and we're trying to get this output. And we're currently having issues with that. So we're trying to figure out where we went wrong. I don't think it's just like, oh yeah, you just missed a semicolon here. Or it's like, oh, you just missed a negative sign. It's probably something more subtle. Maybe it'll be like, ah, yeah, you see, whenever we do the math here, some wacky thing happens to the integral, and then some crazy stuff happens. But I guess, like, what is it? Like, am I trying to explain, like, the stuff that I'm supposed to do in the future? Yeah, stuff to do in the future is, like, once the code works for... Like, once the code reproduces known results, we then try new stuff, because at that point in time, we trust the code to produce, like, new things that also, like, do not break physics. And then that'll be really cool. But I have to, in order to get there, there's, like, a lot of things to explain, and there's, like, okay, so, like, we care about, I don't know, non-relativistic particles, and, like, we've done stuff with non-relativistic particles before, but then, like, we're doing things with relativistic particles. Why do we care about relativistic particles? We need to present a problem, right? There's these things in outer space which create relativistic particles. So if we end up seeing them, then I figure it's probably important to study them, right? And then I guess tell a story from there, and not just like provide narration, but also motivate it with plots, right? Pretty pictures, and all this other stuff. So it's a lot of things to do, a lot of things to look at and to think about, and it all has to be done in under 3 weeks. I'm quite concerned. Like, I think that I'll figure it out, but it is kind of frustrating somehow. Like, it's good knowing that, like, this is, well, if I manage to make it through, then that's like a sign that I'm at least capable of staying in grad school, right? Like, I think I have the potential to. Like, I'd like to believe that, like, if I were in peak form, like I could probably hang around in grad school and maybe even be like a successful academic, right? But potential is not. Potential is just, it's as much as you want to say that you have potential. If you don't actually do anything with it, it's not really. There's not a point in like talking about it, right? There's like, yes, potential man. Look at all the things that he can do. He could do this, he could do that, but instead he just, like, I don't know, like plays video game, reads whenever he should write more, and like writes too extensively about things that aren't necessarily like in the scope of the write-up, or doesn't study, or like just misses a bunch of things, right? And it is a little bit like frustrating, I suppose. Like, I kind of wish that I was able to whip myself into the shape a little bit earlier, right? Like, I think waking up like on time, or waking up at a sensible hour instead of waking up like around noon would be a great starting point. Of course, that means going to sleep early. Um, but in turn, like if I need to do that, I need to have, I guess, like a day or so of downtime. Maybe I don't have to, but it's just, it seems that right now there's not like time to reset, so we just have to tough it out and like go nuts. Um, and it's also kind of, I don't know. I'm just kind of having a weird stretch right now. I'm not really sure what I'm going to title this audio, but I figure I might as well record it because I want to try to get like what 5 audios over a 2 month period. So this is audio number 4. I'm gonna try to get one in like right before December comes around, or I guess like in 5-ish days, and be like, hey, the write up's done. I'm yeah totally set. I'm gonna crush candidacy. It'll be great. Yeah, I wish. I don't think we're on that track right now. I think it'll still be some level of caution and yeah. Ooh, it's just really weird. Maybe back in the undergrad days, and I guess like even a lot of it until now has just kind of been, well, it's just a matter of doing things for your own self interests, right? Like I'm interested in fully solving the problem, right? Like the whole ego thing where it's like, oh, okay, well, I don't really care about my grades. Like I just kind of want to solve the problem and feel good because I can solve the problem, right? But it had its upsides in the sense that I got to learn a lot of cool stuff, but it also had its downsides in the sense that maybe I would spend too much time doing it. Maybe it wasn't the most practical, right? As much as, taking integrals is a really cool trick, it's not necessarily the most practical whenever you can just shove things into Mathematica nowadays and have it pop out answers for you, right? Like, it's a good party trick, but I don't think I should be spending all of my time into something like that if I want to become, like, physics or astronomy man. And there are many more things that like many more practical technical skills that I could be, I guess, putting my time towards. And so I guess right now is the same thing of, oh man, look at all these papers. Like there's all this like background and all these like unanswered problems that I could mention in the write-up, like talk about how like, oh, like Monte Carlo simulations have only come so far. They like have benefits compared to like fluid simulations because they like this is the trade-off, but they also still have issues and so and so. But like I feel like if I spend a lot of time writing about stuff like that, prof might, say like, slow down, man. Candidacy under 3 weeks, write up needs to be done beforehand. There's no point in talking about all these issues because it's just simply out of the scope, right? So well, we need to calm down. Like research is. I feel like I can actually say that I'm doing research now because I guess I'm doing things that are now being mentioned in the discussion sections of the papers that I've been reading, which is a really cool thing to think about. Like doing research is fun, doing math and like messing with the code and like finding new stuff and like making plots and then seeing like your code output actually matches like what you predicted whenever you did the math. That's always a cool feeling. It hasn't happened I guess always, it's like happened like what twice so far, but it's been a pretty great time. Like both times it's occurred, so I extrapolate and assume that it'll be good every time it happens. But as much fun as that is, I gotta take a step back and write things up. Right, I need to actually remember the context. Research is fun, but if you can't explain to other people, then it's not really beneficial to society. And if it isn't beneficial to society, then why should we, like the people who give you the funding, right? Like give you the money. It's like, okay, well then I guess I won't have money to do research and I'll be in a bit of a pickle, won't I? Oh, but I don't know. Like it's just kind of there. I wonder how I guess my friends figured all this stuff out, or like all my colleagues, right? Like friends who have already, a few of my friends have already taken care of candidacy, right? And they seem to but they seem to be more mature. Like I would think that like they're probably more like I don't know, sophisticated in how they do things, or no, not sophisticated. I mean, they're more regimented, right? They probably don't have like sudden phases of like, oh, I'm gonna go write like for 6 hours, and then I'm just gonna go like space out. Instead, they probably just like actually show up to their office like consistently, like on a 9 to 5 or some respectable other alternative respectable thing, and then like they get some amount of productivity in. And I kind of like wish I would, I guess, be closer to that. It's just a bit I mean like there's not really anything stopping me, right? Like I know that I'm capable of being more regimented I just it's just not there right now, and that's rather frustrating, especially given that like it's we're staring candidacy like right down the barrel, right? Like it's this isn't something that you can cram for. This isn't something that you can just like BS, right? Like I guess whereas with those essays back in the day, like you could probably just try to chuck a few things together and cross your fingers and hope that it works, because the end goal of like writing the paper is to demonstrate that you understand the material to some degree, but the end goal of demonstrating your understanding is just to pass the class, right? And to, or well, I suppose like if you really want, like you can try to really take away something from it and become like a more knowledgeable person, but like for all practical purposes, like becoming a more knowledgeable person, the bar is set by whether you pass the class or not. And so once the class is done, you probably won't approach the thing again. Whereas something like this, it feels like I have to take it a lot more seriously, right? Because if I can't make a good write up, I think that shows that I'm not like a good enough communicator. Which, well, your communication skills are kind of scrappy, huh? Like look at this audio, for example. Jeez. Um, yeah, I don't know. Like, I guess it's just one of those ones, right? Like, it's something that we have to do well, and I guess passing is one thing, but the journey has just begun. There's so much more to happen afterwards. Like, I think like after this, I need to start like tossing up some stuff to like become more competitive, like applying to like grants and like writing proposals, right? Saying this is why like I think this problem is very important. There are like a lot of near term like things that we can do with this. Uh, Please, give recommendations. I will produce good work, and then I can go be successful in the future, or something like that. I don't know. I guess it's just a really messy time. I kind of like I'm hoping I guess after this I'll hop in the shower, and then as I dry off I go get a bit more work on the paper. Maybe I'll go to sleep like a bit earlier today and then try to wake up early, or maybe I'll just like stay up late until like I don't know 3 or later, still writing and reading, and then go to bed, wake up, hang out for like an hour or so, and then meet with prof and then see where it goes from there. I don't know. I don't really have anything. Wow, it's just a lot of stuttering. Anyways, hopefully see you before November ends, future me. Till then.